Parallel and perpendicular lines. So parallel lines have the same slope. When an equation says y equals, then the coefficient of x is our slope. So for instance, on these two lines right here, the slopes are both 2/3, which means they have the same slope, so they can be considered parallel. So these two lines right here is the symbol for parallel. It literally looks like a picture of parallel lines. On the second example, both of our slopes are a 1, because if there's no number in front of x, the slope is a 1. So they have the same slope, and therefore they are also parallel. So if I were to graph them, I have two lines that are going in the same direction and will never cross. Now for perpendicular lines, the slopes are negative reciprocals, which means that one of the slope is positive and the other one is negative. One's going uphill, one's going downhill. And they're reciprocals. So remember, a reciprocal is when you take the numerator and denominator of a fraction and you flip its position. So for instance, on this first one, our slopes are 4/5 and -5/4. So first of all, one's positive and one's negative, so that's that negative part. And if you flip 4 over 5 over, you get 5 over 4, so they are negative reciprocals. -2 over 1 and 1/2. If something's not a fraction, put a 1 underneath it and it's now a fraction. So one's negative and one is positive, and the reciprocal of 2 over 1 is 1 over 2, so they are negative reciprocals. If you graph perpendicular lines, they cross at a 90-degree angle, so they look something like that, where the red line is going uphill and the blue line is going downhill, and their slopes are at negative reciprocals. So you're going to be determining if two lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. So the first thing you're going to do is isolate y in both equations. If y is already isolated in one of the equations, then you don't have to do that. Then you're going to identify both slopes. This is going to be showing me that you know what you are looking for. Once you have your two slopes, you're going to determine are they parallel, perpendicular, or neither. So let's just say these were our two problems. -3x plus y equals 4 and -12x plus 4y equals -28. Neither of these equations say y equals, so I need to make them say y equals. So on this first problem, I'm going to add 3x to both sides. So I have y equals 3x plus 4. And I'm going to identify my slope while I'm at it. The slope of this line is 3. On my other equation, I'm going to add 12x to both sides, and I'm going to have 4y equals 12x plus 28. I am then going to divide every single term by 4, and y equals 3x plus 7, which means that the slope of this line is also 3. So if your two slopes match, then they are parallel lines, and you can use the symbol if you want to, or you can write out the word parallel. Up to you. Let's try another one. These two equations. So on this first equation, again, it does not say y equals. I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. Then I have a negative y. Do not forget that that negative is still with the y. It has not disappeared. And that negative sign belongs to the y because it's in front of the y. So negative y equals -2x minus 3. If I want to eliminate a negative, I'm going to divide every term by a -1. Because a negative divided by a negative is a positive. So all of my negatives became positive, and now I can tell that my slope is 2. If I look at my other equation, I'm going to subtract 5x from both sides. I'm going to have a negative y equals a -5x plus 5. And just like the last one, I need to divide everything by -1 to get y to be a positive. And y equals 5x minus 5. Which means that m is 5. Now, for these two slopes, they are not the same number. One's 2 and one's 5. 2 and 5 are not negative reciprocals, so this is a neither. They cross in some fashion, but it's not a 90-degree angle, and they do cross. They're not parallel because they do not have the same slope. Okay, we'll try one more. For my first equation, y equals 1/3 x plus 2, it's already solved for y, so I can state that my slope is -1/3. So on my other equation, I'm either looking for a slope that's also -1/3, making it parallel, a slope of +3/1, making it perpendicular, or any other number to make it neither. So I need to solve for y. I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. Negative y equals negative 3x plus 5. I'm going to divide everything by negative 1 so that my y is positive. And I have a 3x minus 5. So my slope is 3, which means that negative 1/3 and positive 3 are negative reciprocals. One's positive, one's negative, and if you flip 1 over 3, you get 3 over 1. So that means that these two lines are perpendicular.